We say things that don't mean anything, but thanks for listening. Yeah. Hello, everybody, and welcome to We Say Things, episode 250, I believe, is the actual number.
Oh, it's 250. That's right.
It's a very important episode. We'd like to
We'd
like to give thanks to Valve for doing something for our 250th episode, which is updating the game with some content.
Yep, they did it all for us.
That's right. But first, before we get into that, thank you to our beautiful patrons. Dodgers in 5. I believe that's actually how it went. Amish Toaster, Radon Fails Again, Suns Fan. No Matter Than a Hatter, Crownfall Enjoyer, Captain Broccoli, Suns Nugget Boy, STGC Daniel. I think I said that backwards. Pepperballs, T Coil, Yatoro Does It Again, Cinderin. Vlad, let's have Puppy on the podcast. I assume I need to do all of these, right?
Yeah.
Disco Farm D, The Mega Pope, Shark TM, Janie, Dop, Wooden Aftertaste, Anonymous, and... Ooh, this is hard. Hippopotamonstrosesquipedaliphobia is the fear of long words, Mr. Niebling.
So they named that after hippos.
That's awesome. That is really cool.
After hippos and monstrosities.
Hippopotamonstrosesquipedaliophobia. Man, that's hard. That's what she said. That's really good, though. That's also what she said. So, Cinderin, how are you doing? Okay. Where are you?
Hello. I am at Dream League in Sweden. Which is why we did not do an episode last week. Well, it's part of why we didn't do an episode last week. We also talked about, hey, do you want to do an episode? And you were like, literally nothing happened.
That's right.
And I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. So let's wait until something happened. And guess what? Something did happen.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
And it was last night. So very close call. We probably would have done this podcast anyway, and then we would have talked about absolutely nothing.
As we do.
But first, before we get started, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to do an NBA segment, Cinder. It's been a long time.
Oh, boy.
We keep getting comments about people not liking our podcast anymore because I haven't been doing the NBA segment. I need to reach out to those people because I understand that it's very important for them to get up to snuff on the NBA news.
Okay.
I think you'll enjoy this one, though. Well, first, the NBA season has begun. And the Suns are off to, I believe, 7-1 start. We're doing quite well. We've gone from the worst fourth quarter team in the NBA last year to the best so far. It's still early on, though. So
that's good.
Now that I'm saying this, of course, we'll probably go on a losing streak. But overall, the team seems in better spirits than it was last year. So that's good. Now, more importantly, Cinderin, do you know who Dwayne Wade is?
The fact that you laughed immediately afterwards makes me think that you know that I don't know.
No, the laugh is not related to you not knowing. So Dwayne Wade, he was a very good player, Hall of Fame player on the Miami Heat, okay?
Okay.
And when LeBron, you have to have known this, LeBron changed teams at one point, and it was a big deal. People were really upset with him. He was drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers, and that's where he was from, is Ohio. So him changing teams was like a backstab, but he changed teams to the Miami Heat to team up with his friend Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. They made a big three, and they won a couple championships together, okay?
Okay.
So Dwayne Wade is like the Miami guy. He won a championship before LeBron even got there, and he's just like, when you think of Miami Heat, you think of Dwayne Wade. He's like the best player that was ever on, well, I guess LeBron technically, but he's like the face of the franchise, okay? So you can see the picture of him just to get an idea what he looks like, okay?
Okay.
He's actually quite good looking, I have to say. So that's unrelated. Well,
so he plays for El Heat.
Well, yeah, that's one of their jerseys. But anyway.
So it's like a Spanish team.
That's their alternate jersey. Suns also have El Valley, or Los Suns.
Why El?
The Valley.
Yeah, but why? Why are you putting L on the shirt?
Because to cater to, south of the
Fair
border.
enough.
They're trying to get bigger market share. Anyway, that's unrelated to this entire story. Thank you for derailing as usual. So he's been retired for a few years now, and they're putting they put a statue of him outside of the arena. And when they unveiled it, there's been some controversies in there. So you can see what he looks like now. Yes?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This.
Oh, I can only
and I want you to
looks
describe what you see, okay?
Okay.
So we're switching to the statue. I didn't show the whole thing, just the face, okay? Tell me what you think of this face that you see. What do you think?
I don't know how to explain this on voice, how different it looks to the first one.
Yeah. Do your best.
I'll just... Okay. There's a version of this from football. I don't know if you're familiar with the Ronaldo statue.
That one's bad. Yeah, that one's really bad.
This is basketball's Ronaldo statue.
Yes, exactly.
Literally. It is... I can't... so the facial expression he's making, I'm supposed, is meant to come across as like a battle cry or whatever, or like a roar at scoring or something.
Yeah.
But he looks like he's in pain.
You know, the first thing that comes to mind for me is Gollum.
He's like crying.
Yeah, it looks...
But not a battle cry, but like actually like really sad.
It is a monstrosity. And everybody...
Really
so Dwayne Wade seemed to be fine with it. He's like, oh, it's the artistic, or what they're... I don't know. I forget what he said.
Interpretation?
Yeah, the artistic interpretation.
The teeth are good, though. It's good teeth. The artist did a good job with the teeth.
That's great.
They look very human-like. The
Everybody
rest
else
looks like an enemy
appalled.
from Path of Exile.
Yeah. It gives off Gollum vibes for me, for sure. It's really bad. Anyway, that's the biggest story in the NBA. It's just funny.
That's the NBA segment.
That's the NBA segment.
We have a shit statue.
Hope you enjoyed.
All right, I have a bit of a take on this, but not from a basketball perspective, but just in general.
Okay.
To me, statues is something you build of people to remember them post-mortem. Would you agree with that? I find it kind of weird to erect a statue of somebody who's alive.
I don't think it's weird. No. I think you should appreciate people
maybe
while they're alive.
Maybe it's just, well, you can appreciate people while they're alive without making statues of them. But maybe it's just like, maybe it's a take I have because the majority of statues that you come across are obviously of like either old kings or war generals or whatever from like ages past, from like centuries ago.
Mm.
But there's something about, I don't know, the statue to me is like a celebratory thing you place to remember someone. And I don't feel like you need to remember people that are alive.
Well, if they're alive but not doing that job anymore, like he's not playing basketball anymore, so.
Right. I mean, I guess, I don't know.
I can understand the take. I would disagree with it, though. But then again, I'm used to having sports statues put outside of arenas, you know?
Yeah.
It's just a normal thing.
I
not
guess
like
it's kind
this,
of
though.
the same.
This is an
I guess
insult.
It's the same with...
they should have waited till he was dead with this fucking face.
Think about the naming conventions for streets, right? Streets are named after mostly dead people.
Yeah.
So I also feel like it's... I don't know.
They do that
those
too.
Two things, like naming of streets and erection of statues, I feel like is something that you primarily do post-mortem. I would also feel like it was weird. If you named a street after this guy, I would also feel like that was a bit weird. I don't know.
They've done that in the NBA as well. You know, it's possible that they took AI of what he would look like in his dying moment, and that's what this face is.
He
so
died
bad.
stepping on a bed of nails.
Rest
in peace.
That would be so funny if it said "rest in peace" on the fucking statue, and he's right there unveiling. All right. Well, that's the NBA news for today.
Nice. All right. Everybody who was like, this podcast is better with the NBA segment. They got their fill, Shannon. Good job.
Yeah.
This was very
Thanks,
insightful.
everybody. Appreciate that. Next on the list is Kez. He has been released in full form. Have you played him?
I have not, but I have read his abilities, and I read the, what's it called? The comic.
Yeah.
And we went over who went over his abilities today on broadcast, and Purge did some showcasing of the spells.
Okay, that's good.
But I have not seen him played in an actual game yet. I do know his win rate is atrocious, the worst of all time. He actually has worse win rate than unreleased Dawnbreaker right now.
Oh, I heard it's 35% or something like that.
Yeah, Dawn was like 37, I think, which was really bad. I think Kaz earlier today was like 20 something, 29. But I guess people are getting better, maybe. And it was also not every single game of the hero. It might just have been one high bracket or something. Where
so most of the episode we'll be talking about this, and then Act 4 a little bit after. Yeah. So he's a melee agility carry.
Yep.
Which is good because that's not something we have a whole lot of variety of at the moment. Mm-hmm. And I would say he's kind of complicated.
He has 3 in complexity in Dota's rating, which is the highest. They rate them 1 to 3. And he is definitely a 3. This is the most complex hero they've put in the game since
Earth Spirit?
Yeah, that was going to be my last one. That was because every hero since Earth Spirit has. I mean, all of the heroes are really difficult to master since Earth Spirit, but they haven't been that difficult to wrap your head around. Like relatively straightforward to understand how their spells work and how you're meant to do combos and stuff. Earth Spirit has tons of different plays and a lot of difficulty to them. We're actually talking about this today on the drive to the studio, that I think out of the last 5 years, my favorite hero they put in the game design-wise is probably Mars, because
they took it from me?
Well, first of all, if they did that, that would be super cool, but they probably didn't.
That's right.
Please. But he has a very easy-to-understand kit that is very applicable at all skill levels, but at the same time, he's really hard to master and also viable in pro. It's one of the few hero designs that I feel like basically from the get-go, maybe after a little bit of change, he has been good in all brackets since release for like players to use without being broken much of the time, I guess. So I really like that design. This one, I think, is going to be polarizing. I think a lot of people are celebrating it on Reddit right now because it's fresh, it's complex, and a lot of the people that go on Reddit are people that are more hardcore about the game and love playing it a lot and love the challenge. I think for casual players, this hero will be really difficult to understand how to play and how to play against. But we'll get to that when we go over the spells.
I think his win rate, that's the thing about win rates, I would give it a week or two for people to get used to it, first and foremost. Because if this had a 50% win rate, that means it's busted. Like super busted. So it needs to be lower than 50%. 35 is what I heard. I don't know if you heard what the actual win rate was, which is quite low.
I saw a screenshot of like a sample size of 550 games or something, and he was 29%. But I think that might have been Immortal games only. And that might be where he fares the worst. Yeah. So perhaps he does better across the whole spectrum.
Before we get to the skills, what do you think of the model? I don't want to say anything. Okay, the model and the voice. I'm not going to say anything.
I haven't heard the voice.
Do you have Dota installed on that computer?
I have not heard the voice.
Do you have Dota installed on that computer, Cinderin?
I do. I can boot it up right now if you'd like.
All right. I don't want to. The thing is, I don't want to infect you with what I think.
Okay.
So I don't want to say anything.
I'm booting it up right now.
I will say the model is very well done. And to spoil the skills a bit, there's 2 stances, and you can see that he holds like 2 short swords, or katanas, whatever you want to call them, in one, and then the other one's a long sword. So that's cool. I think the model is very well done. It feels like when you're in game, it feels like it's Pango. I don't know why I get that vibe. Maybe it's using like the same skeleton or something, but it feels like it's Pango.
Right.
Overall, the model is very good though, and then the voice.
All right, I'm just demoing him right now. I'm just going to press some buttons quickly just to hear it. But I already heard his voice line when you picked him.
Yeah, just give me your thoughts on the voice.
Okay, one more line. Okay, so I will say, based on the couple of voice lines I just heard while clicking around and his model, I think the voice acting is the weakest part of the two.
Okay.
I also read this. I believe this voice actor is the same one that does the Dragon Knight persona. I think that's the same voice actor, right? If I'm not mistaken. I think it's if that is true, it is noticeable that it's the same voice actor.
Okay.
To me, the the sound design of Dota, I've been praising this since forever, that I love it. Honestly, my least favorite voices are Kid Invoker,
Yeah.
the Dragon Knight persona, and maybe this one as well. And that does not mean I think the voice actor is bad. It means that I think within the game and the universe and the way things generally sound in Dota, these stand out for being too human-like. Do you know what I mean? That's what it feels like. This isn't giving me bird samurai vibes when I just hear the voice a couple of times. It sounds like a human being, and that fits the Dragon Knight, in my opinion, way more because, he's a human in that until he's in dragon form. So for this one, I was expecting a little bit more because a little bit more car, because the other animal-inspired heroes that Dota has are more. It's more similar to the animal they're meant to represent.
Some of them, yeah. Like Pango's not, but Pango at least it feels like he has personality, right? This one,
yeah. For Pango, yeah, exactly. For Pango, it's like exactly. I think that's a good summary. Yeah, that's fine.
So okay, you said exactly what I was going to say, and I talked to Chad about this because the voice to me is identical. Not Dragon Knight, the Dragon Knight persona, which is the same as the anime. It's like identical. And there's like no difference in cadence or anything. And I don't know if this is true or not, but you can just trust my chat. Somebody looked it up in my chat and said it's not the same person, actually. Which I don't know if that's...
this is not DK Persona?
Supposedly. I have not confirmed that myself, which makes it even more impressive that it's exactly the fucking same. But yeah, I agree. You said exactly what I was going to say. It needs to have more bird-related shit. Like, why does it sound like... it's just really plain, really vanilla. And like you said, most of the time, the voice work within Dota is like S tier. And this is definitely not that, which is kind of sad.
I think a great parallel to draw is the voice acting of Medusa, right? Which has like filters on it and is human-like in nature because she is, what she is, but it has that hiss of the snake in all the voice lines. If you could mimic that idea, but then have the bird in that, of like the little, I don't know.
Like what's the point of him even being a bird then? Legitimately.
Yeah, there's not much bird about him except the model currently. I don't know. I haven't paid that close attention to his animations, so maybe there's something that's more bird-like there.
There's I don't know if this is actually in the game or it was just in the files. There was a Reddit thread about the losing animation, I believe. He cuts his own head off and he runs around like a chicken with his head cut.
That's I guess, but that's I suppose that is a bit bird-like to cut your own head off. I think that's more samurai-like.
It's more the idea of a chicken with their head cut off. That's the saying.
Right. Yeah.
But
in seppuku, I think you strike yourself through the heart, right?
I have no idea. I don't watch anime. I don't know anything about this shit.
No, it's not an anime thing. It's like Japanese.
Well, yeah, I know, but that's also going to be an anime.
It's through the belly, Nikki says. It's through the belly, not through the heart.
Okay, very good to know.
All right.
Okay, so now we got that over.
But he's also flightless. He doesn't fly. They don't have wings. These birds, but
yeah, you can still call like birds. A bird.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's go over his skills. So the first one we can talk about is his switch discipline ability, which is kind of like his sub ability that just switches between switches between his stances. And to my knowledge, when you click it, there's a cooldown that actually reduces every time you level up, essentially.
Yeah.
So by the end of the game, like level 30, it's like a point, it's like super fast.
It's very short.
So we'll talk about his first stance, which is the katana stance. Echo Slash is his first ability. I'm trying to fit everything on the screen here. Kez slashes forward in a line with his katana, dealing a percentage of his attack damage. I think at level 4, when I was playing around with it, it's 100% of the damage. It applies that damage and a brief slow to targets in the area, and then after a short delay, it happens again, but with like this echo. It's like it's not an actual illusion, but it just happens again. So good for farming, good for clearing waves and whatnot. If we switch to Grappling Claw, he swings a grappling hook towards a target unit or tree. If it's a unit, they will be an enemy unit. That is, it'll be slowed until you reach the target, and then when you reach the target, you deal an attack that has 100% lifesteal plus a flat bonus if it's a target hero.
You can target trees in fog with this, by the way.
That's right.
So you can jump across to trees that you can't even see with vision, which is a very interesting. It gives him some really ridiculous escape paths on the side lanes in particular.
So passive is the next skill, Kazurai Katana. Katana attacks and abilities apply a stacking damage over time to enemies that deals a percentage of the original attack damage as additional damage over time. Affected enemies have non-stacking reduced health regen. So I believe at the highest level, it's like 35% health reduction that doesn't get stacked or anything like that. But each additional attack it's the damage over time lasts, I think, 8 seconds, and it's based off of the last X amount of seconds, I believe, is how it works.
Yep. Sounds about right.
And the abilities from the katana, so all 4 of these will apply this debuff. And then the ult for the katana stance is Raptor Dance. Kez enters an uncontrollable channel for 1 second, gaining debuff immunity. Did not say that in game, I don't think. I don't remember reading that part. And 100% magic resistance. Did they change that? If the channel completes successfully, Kez performs a series of deadly radial slashes around him that deal damage based on the max health of the target and heal Kez for percentage of all the damage dealt. Kez receives a strong dispel upon completion. So it's pure damage. It's not based off your auto attack damage.
Yeah.
And it scales like 2, 3, 4. So it's 4 slashes at the highest level. And of course, it applies the debuff. So that's the first stance.
And this proc orb attacks?
No.
So it doesn't do any sort of attack. It's just a spell, basically.
I tried it with Mjolnir, and it did not do anything.
Okay. Right.
Okay, so second stance. The Q is Falcon Rush. Kez gains the ability to rush towards enemy targets, delivering echoing secondary attacks. While in this state, Kez has phase collision and has an attack rate that is less affected by attack speed. So I believe at the highest level, his BAT is like 1, I want to say. But it's kind of like Phantom Rush, except it's like a constant thing. So I think the spell lasts...
It lasts for like 7 seconds.
Yeah, 7 or 8 seconds.
1,000 move speed toward the target.
And it has like this kind of illusion-based thing that echoes the attack, kind of.
Yeah.
Which is important when we get to the passive, which we're not there yet. Second ability is Talentage. This is the most basic ability, probably. Kez throws a Sai at the target unit. It's pretty long range. It's way longer range than what's showing here. Deals damage and applies a silence to units in the area. It's like a 275 radius, so relatively small. Third ability of that stance is... Jesus. Shoto Sai. So this has 2 aspects to it. There's a passive and an active. The passive...
The active is super cool.
The Kez attacks and abilities with the Sai have a chance to mark enemies. Marked enemies are slowed, and the next attack or ability damage from Kez gains True Strike and will stun the enemy and deal a critical strike, consuming the buff. So I think it's like a roughly 17% chance for this little debuff to show up, which is like a sword icon. When that sword icon is up and you attack that target, you deal critical strike damage. It's True Strike. It stuns. I think that's it.
Do enemies see this? Do you know?
I do not know.
I'm assuming they don't see the sword over themselves or the Sai over them.
Not sure. The active ability is from Deadlock.
Wait, aren't these the weapons that Donatello uses in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
What, scythes? Yeah.
No, Sais, right? Is that the... One of the Ninja Turtles has these like 2... Is it Raph? Okay, your chat is instantly saying Raph. I got the name wrong.
Wait, what did you say?
I said Donatello.
Oh, no, you didn't say Donatello. Donatello has a stick. I thought you said Raphael. Maybe
I said Donatello, but you heard Raphael because you know I always say the right thing.
Yeah, okay.
Apparently, you know the characters better than I do. I don't know why that was the name.
Yeah, Raphael was the worst character, of course. He sucked. Michelangelo is the best. Party on. Anywho, when you activate the ability, it disarms your character, and the direction that you're facing locks in place for 2 seconds. And if anybody attacks you, a projectile hits you via an attack, they get stunned, and they get marked with the passive. So it means the next time you hit them, they gain critical strike and stun and all that. So it's a parry, which is pretty cool.
This is a super high skill ability in Dota to have.
Yeah.
It's like, if you think about how people use Mischief, this is like an easier to use Mischief, but the timing window can be extremely impactful if you use it correctly against specific heroes.
So I noticed when you activate it, doesn't show here, but on your unit on Kez, the status symbol or whatever those are called. What are those called again? The status effects.
Yeah, the text over you.
Yeah, that say disarm, or this one says parry, which I believe no other unit in the game has.
That's correct. So it also says on the enemy that gets parried.
Yeah, I saw that here. So
that text looks beta, actually. The one over you looks way better. The status effect.
I actually didn't notice the text over the enemy when I was trying it, but maybe I wasn't looking too closely. Anyway, it's interesting because that's technically a new mechanic they've added, right? Parry. Mm-hmm. So we'll see if they add that to more heroes or not. His ultimate for that stance is Raven's Veil. Kez releases a wave of smoke that applies his mark with parry bonus to nearby enemies. It's a pretty big AoE, briefly reducing their vision. I think it's for 4 seconds. And Kez receives a basic dispel and gains movement speed and invisibility until he attacks or casts a spell. I don't remember how long you're invisible for, but it's a good duration. It's maybe 8 seconds. I could be wrong on that one. It's not like super short though.
Right.
So those are his abilities. And he does, I don't think it shows here, he does have Shard and Ags, which is crazy because Ringmaster still doesn't have an Ags. He does not have Facets though, which is not surprising. And I'm going to try to base this off of memory. The Ags is pretty crazy. It turns him into Invoker. There's 2 aspects to it. I'm trying to remember both, but one of them is when you buy the Ags, when you switch stances for 3 seconds, the first ability in that window that you use, you can switch stances again after using it, and it's not on cooldown for the other. So you can use 2 ults basically with the Ags, which is really interesting. And then the second aspect to it was, I believe, something about being able to switch stances faster in general. Like when using an ability, it'll refresh the stance. Something like that. So it turns him into like a pseudo Invoker agility carry, kind of, in a way.
So Scepter, casting any weapon ability refreshes the cooldown of Switch Discipline. The first ability, so when you cast any spell all the time, your stance switch loses its cooldown.
Yeah.
So basically means every single time you use a spell, you can switch stance. And then when you do switch stance, the first one you use in one form does not put the one in the other form on cooldown.
Mm-hmm.
So the way you use 2 ults is that you have to switch first.
Yeah.
And then you use ult, and then you switch back and use the other ult, or do it with whatever abilities you want. You can mix and match as you want.
This is the ultimate, no pun intended, this is the ultimate muscle memory Ags.
Yeah.
Because you have to switch stances to get that.
I saw people writing effectively what was a Mortal Kombat combo on the subreddit about how to most effectively deal DPS. I was reading it and it was like, all right, so here I figured it out, guys. So what you want to do is WQRWQRQRD, whatever. Like okay, man. That hate when that happens in my games.
So we'll talk about that in a bit. I just want to finish with the shard. Yeah, go ahead with the shard. That.
So you, when you're in Shoto, so when you have the 2 size, you get 10 movement speed passively and an additional 10 movement speed per enemy that's marked. The mark is when they parry, or when they hit you and you parry, or when you get that proc thing. And the bigger, or the other part, is on the katana, where you can activate the ability to impale the target and that stuns them, and you stuns you both. The target's debuff bursts, removing it and causing the attack to deal bonus damage based on the stack amount.
So I briefly tested this out, and the shard seems like absolute trash to me. Like complete.
Yeah, I don't know about
garbage.
this. I'm not sure I even understand the premise. Okay.
Like the units that you're like the first part, the movement speed, it's just 10 passive, and then each target. So basically, you're only getting more than one normally if you use Raven's Veil, which is the smoke thingy. And then even then, like if you're hitting an entire team, you get 50 move speed. Big whoop. That's a shard. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then the other one,
I think the katana
stun,
version is stronger.
The katana one, you have to be in melee range to use it, like literally on top of them. It has no range at all.
Well, you grapple in, so.
Yeah, it just seems. Well,
but yeah, you're already. Yeah,
it seems pretty bad, but that's just my first impression. So yeah, what do you think of the hero, Cinderin? This is was it what you were expecting? Anything remotely close?
Well, I was expecting agility carry, so that was right. Well, we don't know if he's a carry yet, technically.
So I'll say this. I think they designed him to be a carry, and if people start playing him support and it's effective, they will nerf that aspect.
Yeah, they will change it.
I'm very confident that they want a carry.
I think so. So this is the type of hero that I think is... How to say? I think it's difficult to balance, because when you make a design that has this many options and this many abilities and needs to switch between them, it's kind of like carry invoker, right? It's the invoker version of, or it's the carry version of what invoker would be like if he were a carry. So balancing abilities, the thing that makes invoker easier to balance, in my opinion, is that his abilities scale with spell power, right? On this hero, having an invoker that fully scales with attack damage is really difficult to balance, I think, because there's going to be some sort of itemization and some sort of timings that will just be crazy, and you need to strike the right balance where they're not trash when you're not farmed, but they also can't be super busted when you are farmed. So I think that's going to be a challenge versus the invoker version. But as far as what I think of the design, I think it's super cool. I love the parry. I think that's very cool to have in Dota. Do I think his abilities are equally good in both forms? Probably not. I think overall the katana form to me seems stronger. The Echo Slash, I think, is really powerful. And I think what you do when you play it as a carry, you probably swap between them. So when you're farming, I'm assuming you want to use the Falcon Rush a lot. Wait, hang on. What do you want to use when you farm? No, you probably just use Echo Slash to farm, right?
Yeah.
Because you like cleaving the camps, and yeah, I would think so. I believe there were a couple of pros that have played some games with it today, and I think Ame went like Battle Fury and played Carry Kez, and I think he, more or less from what I understood, he more or less never switched form. He just played the katana the whole game. And if that's where it ends up, where you're just playing one form, then it needs to be redesigned. Because I think what makes this hero cool and fun is if you need to switch to be effective. It's like Invoker would also be pretty boring if he was just best if you played with 2 spells and didn't use the rest.
My take, first of all, I think the hero design is really cool. It needs to be ironed out a bit, but
yeah,
it's not my kind of hero that I would want to play. It's just too complicated. It's like it's one of those. It's just too much to learn, too much muscle memory. I think, and who knows if I'm going to be right. I think the Ag should be part of the base hero, and the rest of it needs to be nerfed to accommodate, obviously. But I think the identity of the hero should be going back and forth. Doing the cool combos with the double skills or whatever.
Yeah, I actually agree with that.
And right now it feels like it's been a day. Like this is just a very early prediction, but I feel like that should have been part of the innate. Maybe that could be the facet potentially instead of the Ags.
Yeah. Because
I feel like going for Ags, if it's a carry, you're not going to get that as a first 3 item. It's going to be like a luxury.
You maybe.
So?
You could maybe get it as third.
I've been also seeing the Battle Fury, and this is another thing to consider. Is agility melee is not popular right now. Battle Fury,
right?
Only 2 heroes that would buy it are PA Anti-Mage, I believe, maybe Troll.
Pretty much.
So it's just a weak aspect to the game right now, and if that's what's required for this hero, which maybe it's not, that is what people are building primarily right now to farm, is Battle Fury, because you're going to get the cleave with the Echo Slide. I mean, it's kind of like playing PA, where you have all these crit abilities as well. Like there's several of them crit, especially on the Psy. I've actually, the ones I was watching where the guy was going crazy, he was using the Psy build more often. I think the one item that makes sense that will stay, even though he's not universal, is Manta. It applies both passives. It seems pretty crazy on the hero.
Oh, that's cool.
But then how do you farm with
Does
them?
it apply the passive that you have on when you activate the Manta, or does it switch with you?
Say it again.
I'm assuming it just applies the one when you use it, right?
I would assume it stays. Yeah, I'm not sure though. I didn't test it.
That would make most sense.
But yeah, that item seemed really strong.
I'm kind of with you. I think it would be cool if he could swap more often, but I think the upside to having it this way is that the barrier for entry and for more casual players, this will be easier to manage.
Yep.
But on a pro level, it would obviously be super cool to watch them just nerd out like crazy with swapping and just being super effective in fights. And I'll say, even in its current form, the ceiling for this hero is insanely high. It's one of the... I would say this will probably be... To play at close to its potential, it's the hardest carry in the entire game, is my gut read after reading the spells. Because your potential is so ridiculous, and you always, in every situation, need to assess whether it's better to have one weapon or the other. And Switch Discipline has 0 cast time and 0 animation, by the way, so you can swap freely as long as it's not on cooldown. There's no downside to doing it. It's not like, oh, it has half a second cast time, so you miss the opportunity. You can literally just read the situation, be like, oh, it would be great to have this right now. But then you need to know in the back of your mind, oh, if I use the silence and I switch back...
Uh-oh. That's Cinder or me? Look at his webcam. That is a perfect freeze frame. Oh, there we go. You're back.
Oh, was I lagging?
You had a hilarious freeze frame.
Did the sound lag too, or was it just the camera?
You were ranting about something. Yeah, the sound just stopped entirely.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Well, what was the last thing you heard then?
Chad wasn't listening at all, as usual, as you might imagine. You were talking about how fast you could switch between the stances.
Right, okay. So the last thing I was saying was just the ceiling is so high because there's no cast time on the Switch, but you always need to have in the back of your mind when you're like, oh, it would be nice to silence this guy. Oh, now I can't grapple. So, like, with Invoker, you know when you cast Invoke, that Invoke is on cooldown and you have the spells that you chose, but you're not inherently putting other spells on cooldown when you cast another one. Like, imagine Invoker where every time you cast Tornado, you would put Alacrity on cooldown. Like, how difficult it would be to navigate the hero who's already hard.
Yeah.
If the spells were, like, linked in pairs. So it was like every decision was even more crucial that you made the right choice. Yeah.
Yeah, I think as a player...
But it's cool. I think it's very cool.
As a viewer, I think this is going to be great eventually. As a player, I would have preferred there not to be stances. Because like this is 2 different heroes, kind of. I would have been fine with either of them. It sounds cool to play.
Also, you just would have wanted one of them.
Yeah, because I think I think you're right. They're trying to play this middle ground where it's like something that has super high skill cap with the pros, but then is at least approachable. But if anybody's like me, which maybe nobody is, this is already too intimidating. It's 8 abilities. You have to switch stances. Like they share cooldowns. Like it's already very complicated. You might as well just gone all out and make the Ags just part of the base hero, in my opinion. That's how I would have done it. Like if that's what you wanted, then fine. Otherwise, make this 2 different heroes. Legitimately, I think both would have been fun in their own right. But yeah, I'm glad to see a melee agility. And I think from a viewer perspective, this is going to be really fun to watch eventually. And the fact that he already has an Ags and Ringmaster doesn't is quite funny.
Yeah, I think the fact that they don't have the inverse versions of each other, right? One of them doesn't have... let me see. So Ringmaster doesn't have... Ringmaster doesn't have facets. I mean, neither... Wait, hang on. What is it? Neither hero has facets, right?
Right. Ringmaster has an innate. This guy has an innate.
Yeah, so neither hero has facets, but
They
then
both have
Ringmaster also
shards.
doesn't have an ags.
Yeah, it's just the ags
Yeah,
that they're missing.
I think it just goes to show that with some of the designs, they're more fleshed out when where they have a clearer vision, and with other heroes, I think that's the thing that people might underestimate when it comes to a game like Dota is how difficult it is to design something that's balanced, fun, and makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a really good idea and you can flesh out 85% of it, throw it in the game, get tons of games on it, and then you'll hopefully get inspiration for what direction to take it. I would think in the next patch that comes up that Ringmaster will be completed. I think he'll get his ags and his facets because now they know how the hero functions better.
Yep.
You can only play hundreds or thousands of games in-house, right? Versus the millions that the community will play.
Would you have liked the like if they had facets for this guy and they were just the stances? Forget about the innate being a thing. Like you're just choosing ahead of time.
You choose one version or the other?
Yeah, it's just like you're choosing one of two heroes, kind of, right? Problem is you can't. It's hard to balance if you have anything that allows you to use both at the same time. Then it becomes really hard.
I think that takes away a lot of the charm of what will make this hero cool. Because I think either version of the hero, if it just had one of the skill sets, for me, honestly, is not that interesting. It's the duality of the switching and of the decision making all the time of which stance you choose. That's what makes the hero cool. Mm-hmm. So I think that facet would be kind of boring, and I would not really be interested particularly in playing either of the heroes. But this one is cool, I think.
All right. Yeah, let us know in the...
But that could be a third... like, if you think about it, if this hero gets facets, that could be the third facet similar to Visage's, hey, I can't micro facet, right? Then maybe Kaz can have a, hey, I can't press buttons facet, and then that makes...
That is objectively worse then, right?
Right, but that wouldn't be the whole thing. Then it would be you get an empowered version of one of the two builds or something, right?
Yeah, I'd be into
that. Like, you get to play one of the heroes, but then you're stronger, then maybe one of your abilities is empowered or whatever it is. And then maybe even that could be interesting in Pro, because then there would be some games where you would want the mix and match where you can play both forms. And there'll be one game where you're like, oh my god, against the enemy lineup, Katana is so good. So I want to play empowered Katana this game. That could be a thing you could do.
That's a cool idea. I like that. Okay. So that is the new hero, Kez. Yeah, overall, I think I'm fairly happy. The only thing that really I feel like everything can be fixed that we're talking about that we think needs to be fixed. Again, this is after less than a day and without even playing the hero yet, other than in sandbox mode. The only thing that's not going to get fixed that bothers me is the voice line. It's just terrible. Just absolutely
the voice acting is the biggest letdown, I guess.
It sounds exactly like the dragon guy, and it doesn't fit the character anyway. Like it's a double whammy. I don't know what they were thinking with that one, but everything else is good.
Yeah, the thing about that's confusing to me is that I feel like this is, like I was saying before, I think this is not really the voice actor doing a poor job, right? It's just the brief doesn't match the hero. Mm-hmm. If they were telling the voice actor sound like a bird, I would say he did a terrible job. But I don't think that's what they
did you
told
notice
him
what
to
shirt
do.
I'm wearing today? It was not on purpose either.
Oh, actually, I can't see it on the camera.
I put it up a bit.
Oh, you're wearing the bird t-shirt. That's nice. Right. Yeah. So I feel like the brief should have been to make this more. That's what I would have liked, to have it more animal-like. But
yep, agreed.
I guess it's a small complaint in the big scheme of things here for a hero.
Yep. Overall, it feels polished. The effects
Valve
look really
have done
good.
a pretty good job with all the hero releases, right? Like, what's the last miss? Have they missed? Was there ever a hero they put in the game where you're like, wow, I hate this design? Like, this was just a bad idea.
I mean, I hated aspects of certain ones, I guess. I think one thing that they continue to do is have this effect that is, it's just applying my auto attack or something. Like, it's almost every character of the last 15. I'll
concede to that.
Yeah. Like every single one except for Ringmaster has that of the last 10 plus legitimately, which is crazy.
I 100% agree with that. I'll concede that in the last mini designs there was too much X attacks.
There was a hero that I wasn't too fond of, but I was like, it has potential, and I don't like the design is Marcy, actually. I do not like Marcy.
I think that is the worst design they put in the game. But I still don't think it's bad. Yeah.
For me, it's kind of a whatever hero, I guess. It still feels like you have put random abilities. Like the ult just a different ult. The hero should be a support, should not be a carry. I don't know. Feels weird.
She is a bit odd. I would agree with that.
Okay, so with this release, Act 4 was also released, which I'm just showing some of the...
Let me open up my Act 4.
So there are 3 paths, kind of. One with Skywrath, it looks like, one with Venge, and one with Kez. I believe the Skywrath and Kez ones end up in a dead end, but they also attach to... attach to whatever that thing that you buy, so the side achievements or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the Venge one eventually will go into the main story of fighting against Imperia. And there's a bunch of interesting looking game modes that we have no idea what they are yet. I don't know if it's been leaked. I don't think people have played enough to know. But there's one that looks like it's going to be a Minesweeper, which is interesting. So if anybody has played is that still on Windows? Minesweeper? Is that still a thing? I was never good at that game, but I'm sure somebody out there that was obsessed with it is going to absolutely destroy the record.
But yeah, the idea of 3 converging paths that start individually and then match up in the end is kind of cool.
They're not converging though.
Oh, you're positive they don't link?
Well, look at the stream.
Wait, am I? I mean, I have it open too. It kind of looks like No, wait, am I just looking at it wrong?
Like the left side,
because you see, it looks like both of them are like bending in toward the center at one point, where it's like, for example, the Spoon Man, the Spoon Man for Skywrath, in his path, the top right, it looks like that is connecting, not directly. There isn't a line between the paths, but it. When I saw this intuitively, what I thought was you can't open the gate with the sigil on until you've done all 3 paths. Like you need to unlock a key in each of them so that the stories converge. That's the way I interpreted it.
Oh,
so maybe. I thought that's what they did, which I thought would be cool if that's what it actually is, but maybe it isn't.
That could be the case. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So some of the rewards we'll go over that you get, the big ones. So if you buy whatever the thing's called, the towers. So Radiant and Dire. Mm-hmm. When I looked at this, I'm like, holy shit, these are amazing. These are like eagles. The Radiant one has like the white feathers, and the Dire has the purple. Have you seen it in game?
No, but I have read that they don't animate. They literally just shit shots out of the chest.
Yes, it looks so bad in the game. I was so disappointed because the models are fucking sick.
And we know for a fact that there are custom animated towers in the game already, so it's not like a conceptual choice that they've just decided we're not animating towers.
Yeah.
So this could possibly be something that they didn't finish in time, and they're like, we'll put it in later, let's get this out there.
It possible. It does feel like it should be coming out of their mouth.
It just, there's no way that's finished, right?
I hope not.
I don't think so. You can criticize Valve all you want, but I feel like something like that they would not leave in the game in that shape. They will make it nice in the beginning, then it'll break later, and they will never fix it.
Don't say Laker on the podcast, Cinderin.
Excuse me? It will break later, and they will never fix it, but it will at some point in time be fully functional and look the way it's supposed to. And then something's gonna happen, like Techie's Arcana, where a third of the features don't exist anymore. And it was never updated or whatever. But these towers should be animated.
I'm gonna buy the side quest thing anyway, but I think this will probably prevent a lot of people from buying it once they see it in game. So if the money matters to them, then they would probably want to get on that to animate it because it does look like
designs. The designs are really cool though.
Like I was like, oh, this is instantly gonna replace the towers I use, and I saw it in game. Like, never mind, lol, not using them then.
Although I will say it has some charm. If it's really fucked. Just having these like really beautiful towers and then they're just shooting shots out of the chest is actually kind of funny. Zai would use these towers.
It's like my friend. He makes his
heroes as ugly as possible.
My friend uses, do you know the Penguin Courier? The one that has like the lowest polygon count of any courier?
Yeah.
That's the only one he uses because it looks like shit. So people, there's
He will like these towers
there's a
not
crowd
being
there.
animated. Yeah.
In addition, Snotty has made it in the game, Cinderin. The character, the beloved character from Act whatever it was, where
Act 2, right?
He was sniffling, he has snot coming out of his nose constantly, and it actually changes. I didn't take a screenshot of this, but it changes sticky napalm. Have you seen the effect? It is actually green. It is actually green. Disgusting. And when you apply it to heroes, it has a little green effect as well. So it just changes the color entirely. You're okay with that, apparently. That surprises me. I don't care, obviously. I think it's cool.
I said okay, not as I am okay with that, as in, okay, I'm listening.
All right, go ahead. Tell me your opinion on that.
Okay, now you want my opinion.
Yes, I want your opinion.
It's okay.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah. It's okay that it recolors. I mean, it's way less intrusive than a lot of other stuff we have by now.
Have you seen it in game? I don't know.
No, okay, maybe if it looks awful, then I'll change my mind. Can you show me?
No, I can't.
Oh,
you're in Dota already. Like what?
Let me see. How do I find this easily?
You go to the...
Which path is it the reward for?
Don't go to that. Go to Crownfall Store, and then it's... No, go to View Details on the left.
Okay.
And then it'll be one of the listed rewards.
There, Snotty. Demo hero. All right, I'm going to demo this, and then I'll give you my...
Yes, I want live reaction. Thank you.
I'll give you my verdict. Everybody can't wait to hear this. Okay, so it's just sticky napalm I'm throwing, right?
Yep.
Okay. I mean, I think it could use some polish. As in, the splash from the splash looks really nice at the edges, but in the core, as it's like spreading out, it looks a bit cheap. But the effect on the heroes is fine.
Okay, I don't want to show it on screen yet. Now go try the Bloodseeker. I took a screenshot of it. I want your reaction before I show or say anything.
Okay, and he's
on that same list when you hit View Details.
There. Okay, and that's a custom rupture. Okay. Loading. Level up. Reskill rupture. Make enemy rupture him. What the f?
All right, let me just show a screenshot for people. This is what it looks like. I think it's placeholder. I would hope to fucking God that is placeholder. So this is the effect that occurs right when you cast it, and it's relatively quick, but it takes up like the whole screen. It's fucking huge. It's really terrible quality, really. It looks like a sprite.
Okay. You see, the thing that the smoothness of this, do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't look jagged at all, or like it has texture. Yeah. It's just like, that is my problem with the snot in the inner circle. Because the inner circle of the snot has this look to it, and then the outside looks way more like higher polygon, more textured, and the way it sticks to heroes looks fine.
So to my knowledge, the Cinderen's lagging again. To my knowledge, the rupture effect when you're running doesn't look any different, but there is an effect on the unit that has like these little, it looked like worms. I don't know what it actually was. So that effect looked good. You can kind of see it in this screenshot right here, barely. But yeah, this initial effect is just absolute trash. And now I'm going to pause.
Hello?
Oh, hello. I was about to pause.
Okay, I think this is the first time since I've been here that the internet dropped for like 30 seconds. So of course it's during our podcast.
Yep, of course.
Great. Well, I'm back. Is the camera working?
Yes, you're good.
Okay. All right.
So yeah.
So I don't know if you heard what I said, but I effectively just said this is my problem with the snotty one from Batrider is that
it's
smoothness. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay.
So that also looks a bit. There's a couple of things they put in the game right now that just look a bit unfinished, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the towers and these two effects are, I would hope, not finished.
Yeah.
That's my verdict.
All right. Final topic of today is BetBoom Dacha Belgrade 2024. You want to talk about this tournament, Cinderin?
If you want, you can lead it. I'm trying to be very quiet with my typing here as I look the tournament up.
I mean, if you had the outline open. You could just click a button,
Yeah, but that's what I told you. I don't have the outline here right now.
So for this tournament, there was a normal group stage, the ones that we're pretty familiar with in Dota. 2 teams eliminated during the group stage. Mouse and Talon were out of Group A. Liga, is it Liga? I don't know how to say that. And Nouns. Ligma, yeah, and Nouns were out as well. Nouns also announced that they're dropping their Dota team.
But the team are staying together for now.
Yeah.
The players.
Yeah. And then into the playoffs, we can see that Falcons pretty much had no trouble getting to the finals. They did have a 2-1 against Tundra, and then played them again in the grand finals, which that went 5 games, and Falcons ended up coming on top. There's been this real turn of the tides, I feel like, with Amar. Have you noticed this from the community?
Which of the turns?
The turn that they're sick of him talking shit.
Oh.
When at first it was fun. What do you think about that?
What do I think about that?
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I think, I think trash talk or all chat, let's call it all chat. I think all chat can be fun and can be enhancing to the experience, both for the players and for the fans, both in pubs and in pro games. So I don't really have a problem with players all chatting. So it's always going to be contextual. It's about what do they say, when do they say it, and how do they come across. And if you're all chatting a lot of shit, you can't be surprised if people have a problem with it at some point, whether it's because you're always doing the same thing and it's not innovative or creative enough, or because you're just being straight up toxic or whatever. So yeah, I guess that's my overall take on all chat. Do I think it's unfair, or do I think it's strange that the community has turned? And also, what are we making that judgment call based on? It's always going to be vocal majority or vocal minority rather on Reddit, where, depending on the thread, some people are going to like something and some people are not going to like something.
Yep.
Who's to say that this is indicative of the overall average experience of a viewer, that they're like, Mars too much now or whatever. But he definitely got more negative backlash overall, I would say, recently, is my impression. Also with the whole drama that happened in Wallachia with Soneko. So I think it's possible that Amar might just choose now to tune it down a little. I think that might just be a good strategy, but I don't know.
Yeah, somebody in chat's bringing up an interesting comparison. People did not have a problem with OG doing it. I think the difference I would make with that is, to my memory, when OG was winning TIs, it was mostly voice lines. They weren't really all chatting, were they? At least I don't remember anything like that. I think it was mostly voice lines.
No, not really. It was stuff that was put in the game by Valve, right? They used every other...
I don't have a problem with either of them, with all chatting or voice line, but there is a difference. I think there's a big difference between the two.
Right.
Because
so one of them is mandated by the game, and it's just clever use of something Valve put in the game. Also, do you remember when they all changed their profile pictures to Angry No-Tell when they were about to play EG at the time?
I don't remember that.
Okay. Anyway, they did whatever they could and placed the banners on the map.
And I think technically I don't know if things have changed since the times when we were running tournaments, but back in the day, all chat was just not allowed. So I don't know if they're just being lenient on these rules, or they're. I mean, I think
actually true.
I think it's good for the viewing experience to have some of that, and there of course is a line. So we're starting to see that some people's line the threshold has been crossed at this point, which is interesting. I thought it was worth talking about. But from the tournament itself, any surprises? I mean, it seems like the same teams.
Not really, right? I guess, in a way, the biggest surprise was the team you didn't mention, Yakult's brothers, ended up knocking out Team Liquid. I think that was a bit surprising. Then they proceeded to lose the next round and get top 6, but they did make it there. Liquid got 2-0 by Falcons and then 2-1 by Yakult's brothers, and then they got 2-0 by BetBoom, and then the rest of the bracket was Tundra, Falcons, BetBoom, Spirit. Pretty standard stuff after Spirit knocked out Aurora. So I can't say I'm too surprised. I feel like when these teams face each other, the placement of the teams is going to vary, but they're generally a lot of the time going to be placed high. Now in Dream League right now, we'll go over the results next episode because the tournament hasn't finished. But I can tell you right now that Bet Boom, Falcons, and Spirit are all in the top 4 of this event. So yeah, they're just Eastern Europe is doing really well in Dota right now, which is interesting and encouraging to see in a way because that region has not had major international results aside from Spirit in quite a long time that were worth writing home about. Like Bet Boom would get some thirds, maybe a second here or there, but never really win. They were still very good, but they consistently placed high. But now there's like another team, it even seems, with Paravision coming in and playing super well in this tournament. So that's pretty interesting.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see once this next big patch drops, what regions will actually benefit from it, because I'm expecting a huge shift, not necessarily in what teams are going to be the best, but in what strategies are going to be the best. I think a lot of things that are working now will not work in like 2 months. That's just my prediction. I think things are going to drastically change.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Very interesting time. And I think once this, I would expect Ringmaster to get his, like once he gets his Ags in this next big patch, I think that he will just be put in Captain's Mode as well. I think that's going to happen.
It might take a little longer, but we'll see.
And then Kez, I think we can fully expect, I mean, I know it's a long ways off now, but for TI, I think he'll be available by then. So
yeah, probably. That's a year away. Well, that sounds likely.
A year, we'll see. Might be earlier now. I feel like they might put in August.
Well, let's say 9 or 10 months, but at least it's a long way away.
It's like having a baby. You just gave birth. Sorry, you just got impregnated with Kez.
You just gave birth, and then you have the baby 9 months later.
And you will give birth in 9 months at TI. And it'll be a hefty boy, that's for sure. Okay. Of course, they're going to have a really generic voice. It's going to be really annoying for you, but that's about it. They'll be multifaceted otherwise. Okay, that does it for the episode. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Cinderin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming for another episode of this podcast.
Yes. 250 times we've done this, Shannon. We can do it again.
Technically, we've done it 251 because there's one episode that we never aired because I forgot to record, if you remember correctly.
That's true. Yep.
That was.
Thanks for watching episode 251, everybody.
Yep. See you guys.
We say things that don't mean anything.
Merch.sunsfan.gg